Hello, my name is Jim Sutter. I'm the CEO of the U.S. Soybean Export Council. We bring together U.S. soybean producers, commodity shippers, merchandisers, allied agribusinesses, and agricultural organizations to optimize the utilization and value of U.S. soy in international markets by meeting the needs of our stakeholders and global customers. As we'll talk about today, one of the fastest growing needs and priorities for our customers and the world at large is a product that's grown sustainably, with the longevity of the land in mind and the health of the planet at a top priority. You can see all of the members of our organization and all of those diverse groups that I represented. I always like to show this slide as it gives a great impression of the breadth and depth of the people who we represent around the world as we do our work. We're very thankful to have all of these organizations as our members. And I'm pleased to be here with you today virtually, discussing how in the United States, our farmers are putting sustainability front and center, and why. Sustainable farming practices are foundational to the growth and production of U.S. soy. It is in every farmer's DNA as it allows them to pass their farm from generation to generation, which is a critical goal of U.S. producers. In addition, the customers of U.S. soy are demanding sustainably grown soybeans, and U.S. soybean farmers are constantly innovating to ensure their supply meets and exceeds those demands. The focus of our grower is on continuous improvement, as they are constantly upgrading to the latest innovative technologies. Our U.S. soybean farmers are proud to call themselves the ultimate stewards of the land. Efficiency and conservation practices used by our farmers are not only helping preserve the planet's resources for future generations, but also helping to make U.S. soy the preferred choice for feed, food, and fuel today around the world, where consumers across the value chain demand no less. We see evidence of a growing interest in sustainability in the marketplace. It starts with consumers who simply want to know more about where their food comes from, and then manifests itself in the marketplace. 86% of the companies in the S&P 500 index published sustainability or corporate responsibility reports in the year 2018. Compare that to only 7 years earlier, when just under 20% of those same S&P 500 companies published those kind of reports. These reports are helping consumers, investors, and buyers across the value chain understand the steps that the organizations are taking to preserve the planet. And those that make it a priority are seeing the benefit. In fact, New York University's Stern Center for Sustainable Business released a revealing report late last year, examining consumers' purchases of packaged goods, and the results were telling. 50% of CPG growth from 2013 to 2018 came from sustainably marketed products. And products marketed as sustainable grew 5.6 times faster than those that were not. Many global trade exchanges, stock exchanges, are also now requiring sustainability reporting. And they require this on all of their listings. The New York Stock Exchange, the FTSE, the DAX, the Malaysia, Singapore exchanges, Philippines, it's happening around the world. This all points to one very clear truth. In the marketplace, sustainability also matters, just as it does to consumers. In addition to just bottom line or reporting requirements, there can be softer benefits too for companies, as organizations that choose to focus on sustainability. These benefits can include a lift in brand reputation and sales, the ability to identify more reliable partner suppliers, fostering a culture that wins over employees, significant operational efficiencies, and meeting the expectations of stakeholders as well as stockholders. All these reasons provide a compelling case for any industry to put sustainability front and center. But for us, it goes beyond that. But first, let me tell you a little history. Let me talk about U.S. soy production as compared to global soy production. That's one of the things that this presentation is supposed to be about, is the overall production of soy in the world. We're fortunate to be in a growth business. Global soybean demand grows 3 to 4% per year, and that's been taking place for over the last 20 years. So as you can see on this chart, all of the origins of soy production have been growing, but particularly the US and Brazil have been leading that charge. The US has had its ups and downs due to weather concerns, just as other origins have, but we've all been growing. And I point this out as an important reason that we continue to focus on sustainability. Then if you look at the next slide, this gives you a little history of a time when US soy production was not so sustainable. I'm not exactly sure when this picture was taken, but I'm guessing it was the early 1930s. Just as we were at a time in US history we called the Great Dust Bowl, when we had farming taking place that didn't leave any residue on the top of the soil, and we had real wind and soil erosion problems. It was a very bad time in US agriculture. In 1935, the US government formed the US Soil Conservation Service as an important part of USDA. And since that time, sustainability, or conservation, as we more often call it in the US, has been a critical component of how producers grow their crops. Because for US farmers, sustainability is deeply personal. US farms are family owned, most of them spanning multiple generations. In fact, 97% of the farms in the US are family owned. And US soy farmers have spent years, generations in fact, perfecting their business, being able to generate a consistent and reliable supply of sustainably produced soybeans. For them, sustainability is a part of what they do every day as they strive to improve their properties for future generations. For US soy farmers, it isn't a short-term business decision, but rather a long-term family legacy decision, which makes it such a compelling and persuasive marketing point when the world's consumers can learn about this. We often talk about sustainability having three pillars: environmental, social, and economic. I think that what US farmers are doing in this area is a great example of tying those three pillars together. US soy farmers have a long history of creating and participating in programs to help preserve wildlife habitats and improve biodiversity. They regularly employ strategies that including conservation tillage, crop rotation, and cover crops to maintain soil health and maximize the consistent quality of their harvest. Modern tools like moisture sensors, GPS-enabled tractors, drones, and satellite imagery help US soy farmers to produce more soy on the same or less land with reduced inputs. Conservation or reduced tillage is an important practice that has had a dramatic impact on how US soy farmers grow their crops. It means fewer inputs are needed, less erosion happens, precious moisture is retained, and soil health together with the worm population improves. For someone like me, who grew up on a farm and was involved in farming before this practice was commonplace, it is so interesting and simple to see. It makes me say, why didn't we do that? And now I'm so pleased to see so many US soy farmers and farmers in general across the United States employing that great technology. It is exciting to see what happens as people embrace something like that. And we've noticed the huge impact of these practices. Since 1980, US farmers have increased overall soy production by 96%. Remember what I said about growing demand. While reducing soil erosion by 66%, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 41%, reducing energy use by 42%, and reducing overall land use by 35%. Now in the US, deforestation is not an issue. The USDA Farm Program provides strong protection for wetlands, erodible lands, as well as grasslands and forest lands. As this slide shows, the US has gained forest land in the last 100 years, while significantly reducing farmland in total in the last 50 years. Another proof point of the US's commitment to sustainability is the US Department of Agriculture having dedicated almost $60 billion to conservation programs from 2019 to 2028. and 37% of that funding is devoted to something called the Conservation Reserve Program, or the CRP. Under this CRP program, the USDA is authorized to pay farmers to take up to 27 million acres, just over 10 million hectares, of environmentally sensitive agricultural land out of production and return it to its natural grassland state, ensuring that there is reduced soil erosion, improved water quality, and increased wildlife habitat on that land. And when a farmer puts his land in this program, it's for a minimum of 10 years. So it is indeed a long-term commitment. The U.S. Soy Sustainability Assurance Protocol was developed by a team of individuals with diverse multi-stakeholder backgrounds, whose common interest was the development of a meaningful tool to drive the sustainability of soy production in the United States. The SSAP outlines the regulations, processes, and management practices that all combine to assure that U.S. soybeans produced under this program can be verified as being sustainably produced. Compliance is assured by third-party independent audits, of which there are about 20,000 each year, with significant financial penalties imposed in case non-compliances are found. Customers can refer to the SSAP to meet corporate social responsibility needs, as well as consumer expectations. Because U.S. soy is verified sustainable under the SSAP, purchasers have a competitive advantage buying U.S. soy over other origins. We're proud that the SSAP has been positively benchmarked against the European Feed Manufacturers Association, or FEFAC, their soy sourcing guidelines, and recently it was approved by the Tokyo Olympic Procurement Committee as a means of identifying or verifying sustainable soy sourcing for their upcoming Olympic Games. The SSAP outlines and measures 4 key directives related to sustainability: biodiversity and high carbon stock. There are regulatory obligations to maintain wetlands, grasslands, forests, and enhance biodiversity. Production practices, including those that enhance the environment, as well as those that protect our natural resources while increasing production efficiency. Public and labor health and welfare. We have a number of regulations and laws that provide for protection of the public and the workers. This is where we cover things like pesticide use, pesticide application safety, and others. And finally, continuous improvement. We know sustainability is not a result, it's a process. It's a commitment. And each year, farmers work harder to more efficiently and environmentally farm their lands. Along these lines, we've established some continuous improvement goals that we aim to reach within the next 5 years. Based on the year 2000 benchmark, U.S. soybean producers should be able to achieve these goals by 2025. And specifically, we aim to increase yield by another 10% by improving the adoption of narrow rows and the use of cover crops. We intend to reduce soil erosion an additional 25% by increasing the adoption of no-till conservation tillage, narrow rows, and again, the use of cover crops. Increasing energy use efficiency, which is a direct economic savings for farmers, by 10%, by increasing the adoption of that no-till and conservation tillage practices, which also reduces greenhouse gas emissions by 10%. And we know we need to focus on our resources on research, outreach, and measurements to make certain we are achieving targeted goals. We believe that to be truly sustainable, we must never settle. It takes dedication and a constant focus on improving. It's with that focus on doing things better that we're also working to adhere to broader and more globally focused sustainability goals, like those in the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. As many of you know, in January 2016, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs as they're called, of which the 2030 Agenda for Sustainability officially came into force. They were adopted by world leaders in September 2015 at a UN summit and are meant to address the complex challenges we all face in our world. Over the next 15 years, with these universal goals created with both developed and developing countries in mind, and a global population to look after, We will mobilize efforts to end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change while ensuring that no one is left behind. We've heard it said that more than any other sector, agriculture is the common thread that holds these goals together. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. That's why last year, we began a project to identify how the U.S. soy family is best positioned to map out strategic objectives directly related to the SDGs, so we can all contribute to achieving these goals well into the future. We believe creating this roadmap will help strengthen our license to operate, manage operational and regulatory risks, and expand new growth markets. And importantly, it should help move the needle towards a more sustainable world in a measurable way. We've identified 6 key SDGs where we have immediate and natural opportunities to lead for impact. In particular, U.S. soy directly affects food security, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. Through dedicated focus on sustainable agricultural practices, we will do more with less and help meet the growing food needs for a growing population, and also influence the outcomes of the goals for clean water and sanitation, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and life on land, and important partnerships to also help meet these goals. The U.S. soy industry can be a solution to global challenges by mitigating climate change through safe, sustainable farming practices, and by providing essential protein and nutrition to help feed a growing population. We're focused on people, providing protein to fuel good health and better solutions for products that enhance our quality of life. We're focused on contributing to a healthy planet through sustainable farming and constant innovation. And we're focused on prosperity, delivering trusted quality, reliability, and safety to foster prosperity for the people of the world. It will take all of us focused on this mission to make the impact we desire, not just U.S. soy farmers, but farmers all around the world. But we want to be setting a great example. Sustainability matters in all aspects, driving business decisions across the agricultural value chain, from farm to fork, and everywhere in between. But it will set the stage for global prosperity, growth in food security, growth in global economies, and drive us to focus on innovating to consistently improve. It's something we're serious about, and our farmers are deeply committed to that mission, as I've described earlier. I invite you to connect with us to learn more at ussoy.org. Thank you for your time today, and I do look forward to talking with you about sustainability and other things related to soy in the days and years to come when we're able to meet again. Thank you for your time.